was a Friday night in late September when this happened. I still remember how the rain started like a soft tapping at first, then turning into a steady, drumming roar on my roof. I live alone in a small rental house just outside the city. It's nothing special. 2 bedrooms, a creaky porch, and big old trees that drop branches whenever there's a storm. That night, I was actually looking forward to the rain. It had been a long, sticky week at work, and the forecast said it would pour all weekend, which meant I could stay in, order some takeout, and binge shows without feeling guilty. I didn't know then that it would be one of the longest nights of my life. Around 7 p.m., the rain picked up. I could hear the wind rattling the windows while I microwaved leftover pizza. My phone buzzed with a weather alert, flood watch for my area, but that wasn't unusual. I sat on my couch, scrolling mindlessly through my phone, half listening to the storm outside. Occasionally, I thought I heard the old porch steps creak, but I told myself it was just the wind shifting the house a bit. When you live alone, you get used to telling yourself little stories like that. At around 8:30, the power flickered for the first time. The TV screen went black for a few seconds before coming back on. I glanced at the window. I couldn't see much, just the blurred glow of my porch light through rain streaks. Another half hour passed and the wind sounded worse. It made the tree branches scrape against my roof. I remember pulling the blanket tighter around me, trying not to focus on how big and empty the house felt when the wind howled like that. I texted my sister, "Storm's nasty tonight. Hope I don't lose power, lol." She replied, almost instantly, "Haha, light a candle if you do. Stay safe." At 9:15, the power cut out completely. It wasn't gradual, just a loud click from somewhere in the walls, and suddenly the TV, the lamps, even the fridge, all dead. I sat there for a second, blinking at my dark reflection in the window. Then I sighed, got up, and found the flashlight I keep in a drawer by the kitchen. The beam wasn't very strong, but it was enough to find a couple candles and my old battery-powered camping lantern. I set them up in the living room, feeling slightly stupid for how nervous I was. I don't know why, but the silence when the power goes out always feels deeper than normal silence. The rain and wind were still loud, but the absence of the hum of the fridge and the background TV static made my house feel too still. I decided to check the breaker box, even though I knew it wouldn't help if the whole block was out. I slipped on my boots, grabbed the flashlight, and opened the back door. The cold hit me immediately, rain blowing sideways into my face, soaking my shirt in seconds. I jogged to the breaker box at the side of the house. My flashlight barely cut through the rain. I flipped the main switch back and forth a couple times, but nothing happened. I muttered a few choice words, slammed the box shut, and hurried back inside, dripping water all over the floor. I dried off, changed into a hoodie, and texted my sister again. "Power's out. Hope it's back by morning." She didn't reply right away, so I put my phone on the charger just in case it came back on. Then I settled back onto the couch with the lantern casting long shadows on the walls. I tried to focus on my phone to distract myself, but of course the Wi-Fi was out too. No shows, no background noise, just the wind, the rain, and the occasional groan of the old house. I was about to doze off when I heard it. A single distinct knock at my front door. I froze. At first, I thought maybe it was a branch hitting the porch, but then it came again. 2 knocks this time. Firm, deliberate. Knock. Knock. I sat up straight, listening so hard my ears hurt. Who would be at my door this late, in this storm? I grabbed my flashlight and moved slowly toward the front door. My heart was pounding so loud I half expected the stranger outside to hear it. I didn't have a peephole, but the door has a narrow frosted glass panel on one side. I flicked my flashlight off so I wouldn't give myself away and peeked through the glass. At first, I didn't see anything. Just shadows and rain running down the pane. Then lightning flashed, and for a split second, I thought I saw a shape. Someone standing there, just past the porch steps. When the thunder rolled, I realized my hand was trembling on the doorknob. I called out, "Hello? Who's there?" No answer. I waited, my ear pressed close to the door. Knock. Knock, knock, 3 more times. Louder this time, like whoever was out there was getting impatient. I felt a chill run down my spine, and it had nothing to do with the rainwater still soaking the cuffs of my sleeves. I should have called the police right then. Or at least someone. But some dumb part of me thought maybe it was a neighbor needing help. Maybe their car broke down. Maybe they needed a phone. So I asked again, louder, "Can I help you?" "It's really late." Silence. And then, just as I was about to back away from the door, a voice answered, muffled by the rain but clear enough to make my blood run cold. "Can you let me in? Please. I need help." It sounded like a man, but something in the tone made my skin crawl. Too calm, too flat, almost rehearsed. I didn't answer right away. My brain was screaming, "Don't open the door." Every scary story I'd ever heard was playing in my head at once. Then the voice spoke again, a little louder. "I'm hurt. Please open up. It's freezing." I strained my eyes through the glass, but the porch was empty. No figure, no movement, just the storm whipping my hanging plants back and forth. How could he be knocking, but not be on the porch? I stepped back slowly, clutching the flashlight like it could protect me from whatever was out there. Then, the knocking stopped. For a few seconds, all I could hear was the pounding rain. I let out a shaky breath. Maybe he'd left. Maybe he realized nobody was going to open the door in the middle of a blackout. I turned to go back to the living room, and that's when I heard the back door creak open. I don't think I'll ever forget that sound. The soft, unmistakable creak of my back door swinging open, cutting through the storm and the pounding of my own heartbeat. For a second, I actually froze right where I stood in the hallway. My mind refused to process it. I had locked that door. I was sure I had. I always did, especially on stormy nights. But the sound was real. The wind gusted harder, and I heard the door bump gently against the wall. Again and again, the rain blowing straight into my kitchen. I forced myself to move. I crept down the hallway, flashlight in a death grip. I tried to steady my breathing, but every step made my socks squish in the puddles I was leaving behind. My brain was screaming at me. Call for help. Call the cops. Get out now. I peeked around the corner into the kitchen. The back door was wide open. Cold wind whipped through the room, rattling the hanging pans and making my candle flicker violently from across the living room. But what made my chest tighten into a knot wasn't the open door. It was the set of muddy footprints on my kitchen floor, leading from the door straight toward the hallway where I stood. I sucked in a breath and backed away. My phone. I needed my phone. It was still on the charger by the couch. I turned and ran for it, nearly slipping on the wet floor. I grabbed my phone and hit the side button. Nothing. Dead. The power was still out, so the charger hadn't worked. I wanted to scream. I heard something then, a soft thud from deeper in the house. Not the kitchen, the hallway. My hallway, right near the spare bedroom. I spun toward the sound. The shadows seemed to move at the edges of the candlelight. My hand shook so bad I almost dropped the flashlight. I needed to hide, or get out, but I didn't know where he was. If I made a break for the front door, he could be waiting right around the corner. If I stayed put, he could find me in seconds. Another sound, like a low grunt, followed by the creak of a door hinge. He was opening the spare bedroom door. Without thinking, I backed into my coat closet by the front door. It's shallow, barely big enough for a couple coats and my broom, but in that moment, it felt like my only option. I eased the door shut, heart hammering so loud I was sure it would give me away. Inside the closet, it was pitch dark. I didn't dare turn the flashlight back on. I stood there, pressed between my winter coats and the door frame, trying to quiet my breathing. I heard him then. Soft, careful footsteps padding back into the hallway. A faint shuffling, like wet shoes on old wood. He paused. Then, unbelievably, he started humming. A tuneless low hum, moving slowly through my house like he was taking his time, checking each room. I don't know how long I stood in that closet. It felt like forever. I could hear him moving things, opening cabinets in the kitchen, dragging something heavy across the floor. At one point, he stopped right in front of the closet door. I saw a sliver of faint candlelight under the door crack, and two muddy boot tips pointing straight at me. He didn't knock, didn't say anything, just stood there, humming that same flat tune. I clamped my hand over my mouth to keep from crying out. I could feel sweat trickling down my back despite the cold. Then, after what felt like an eternity, the boots turned away. I heard him walk back toward the kitchen. The humming faded. Then, the unmistakable squeal of my fridge door opening. He was rummaging through my food. Some distant part of my brain wondered why. Was he hungry or just messing with me? I stayed in the closet another minute. Then I forced myself to move. I cracked the door open a few inches and peeked out. Candlelight flickered in the kitchen. I couldn't see him, but I heard faint noises, plastic containers being tossed around. I knew I couldn't stay there. He was going to find me eventually. I needed to get out, but both doors were blocked. The back door was too close to him, and the front door was locked and dead-bolted from the inside. The only other way out was the small bathroom window. It was tiny, but I'm not exactly big either. It might work. I slipped out of the closet, moving as quietly as I could on wet floorboards. Every creak made me flinch. I ducked into the bathroom and shut the door as softly as possible. I held my breath, listening. No footsteps yet. I grabbed the window latch. It stuck at first, swollen wood from the rain. I forced it up with both hands, wincing at the screech it made. I froze, listening. Nothing. Just the storm outside and the soft rattle of my fridge door being slammed shut. I pushed the window open all the way and poked my head out. The rain hit me like needles, cold and relentless. But freedom was right there, just a short drop to the muddy flower bed below. I hoisted myself up, hooking my stomach on the sill, trying to ignore the pain as the frame dug into my ribs. I twisted my shoulders through. Almost out. Then I heard it. A shout, low, angry, then heavy footsteps pounding down the hall toward the bathroom. I didn't look back. I shoved myself through the rest of the way and tumbled into the wet mud below, landing hard on my hip. Pain shot up my side, but I forced myself up, half crawling, half running into the dark yard. The rain blinded me. I stumbled through my neighbor's yard, slipping in the wet grass. Behind me, I heard the bathroom window slam open. A furious roar. Then something crashed against the wall inside my house. I didn't look back. I ran barefoot down the street, ignoring the gravel digging into my feet. My only thought was, find help, find lights, find someone. After what felt like an eternity, I saw headlights through the trees. A car coming down the road, my neighbor's teenage son, pulling into his driveway. I practically threw myself in front of his car, waving my arms like a maniac. He slammed on the brakes, rolled down his window, and I must have looked insane, covered in mud, crying, babbling that someone was in my house. He let me in his car without a word and locked the doors. He called 911 while I curled up in the passenger seat, shivering so hard my teeth hurt. The police came about 10 minutes later. They went through my house, found muddy boot prints all over, the fridge wide open, my kitchen drawers rummaged through. But whoever he was gone by the time they got there. They never caught him. They found footprints leading back into the woods behind my house, but the storm had washed away any chance of tracking him further. Nothing was stolen. Not my laptop, not my wallet, not my TV. He didn't want my stuff. He just wanted to be inside. I spent that night on my neighbor's couch. I didn't sleep at all. Every knock of the wind against the window made my heart race. I moved out of that house 3 weeks later. I still can't stand the sound of rain at night. Sometimes, even now, if a storm wakes me up at 3 a.m., I swear I can hear that same flat, tuneless humming in the back of my mind. And I wonder, how long had he been watching my house, waiting for the rain to cover his footsteps?